obviously this Saudi Pro League has been one of the biggest talking points in sports over I can't say over the last few weeks, because last few weeks it's been Dylan Dennis posting pictures of Logan Paul's girlfriend. But on a larger, more broader scale, I think it's been the Saudi Pro League, and just Saudi in terms of football has been a huge talking point. And just to give a very brief explanation of how this whole thing started. So, I think around this year, the Saudi Public Investment Fund, which is one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world, or the largest sovereign wealth fund in the world, which has like assets under management of around 2 trillion US dollars. They purchased 4 clubs in the Saudi Pro League, so which is Al Nasser, Al Hilal, Al Ittihad, and Al Ali. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I think it's called Al Ali. Yeah. So, and all of these clubs are now backed by the Public Investment Fund, and this is quite clearly like a strategy from the Saudi state itself to sort of popularize football. And I think the whole thing is really built around creating like this El Clasico like rivalry between Al Nassr and Al Hilal, which are historically two rival clubs. So that's their plan, to sort of create this rivalry and to boost those clubs. If you look at the rest of the league, while it is big, like while they are buying players, it's obviously not up to the level of like the top 5 leagues. They don't have quality players that way, but it's these 4 clubs that are really investing and that are really buying. Looks like they're bidding for every player that's under 30 in Europe's top 5 leagues. So and I think, as we were speaking just before, like as we were discussing before this episode started, this whole thing started after they bought Cristiano Ronaldo, which sort of really brought eyes to the Saudi Pro League. And if you look at their spend, I believe I have the graphic right here. Yeah, so if you look at their spend for summer 2023, their net spend is actually slightly above La Liga, and it's on par with the Bundesliga. It's obviously much less than the Premier League, but in terms of total spend, but in terms of net spend, they're actually second, only to the Premier League. So they're spending a significant amount of money, and they're obviously buying players. They're obviously buying really quality players. We've seen apart from Ronaldo, we've seen Karim Benzema, Riyad Mahrez, and N'Golo Conte, and I think today we saw like Laporte's gone to a Saudi club as well. So
No,
I guess I'll just
He said quality
yeah.
players.
yeah. By the way, Neymar is an Al Hilal player, but he went there as
What does this mean?
Sky's blue.
He's injured again.
Yeah, he's injured. He can't play his first match for a while because he's
So
Well, I heard that Salah is going there as well. So
Salah will
I
go
guess.
there.
no,
and,
not there.
Versus Van Dijk will go there. Klopp will go there.
I mean, Salah just seems like the transfer just makes sense, given where Liverpool is at. But I guess that's a different discussion. We'll discuss that later. But I guess my question to you guys is, before I give you my opinion on this, do you think this just, as long-time football fans, do you think this Saudi transformation is like here to stay? Or do you think this is just going to be something that they try for a few years and it's going to fail and it's not going to be able to compete with Europe's top 5 leagues?
I have. What's your?
I'll go after you.
You do. You
No,
say.
because
Because I have a different answer.
I don't. That's why I need to see what you think before I do.
That some of the points that I wanted to talk about is like you asked, is it here to stay, right? Something that we also asked and I also brought up in the first part of this episode was China. Chinese Super League. That also had a lot of state backing and a lot of big investments going into it. But look at the players they bought. They bought Oscar, Tevez, and
Yeah.
players like that, right? In Saudi, however, okay, yes, Oscar is good, but Saudi, they brought they went and brought Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the most, not one of the most marketable athlete in the world, who
Yeah,
has the most Instagram followers and all those things. And
he's the goal.
so wherever he goes, I was following, right? And
Visible?
so anyway, they bought the most marketable player in the world, and it paid off. Of course, we had a lot of other players going into it, but the problem with the Chinese Super League is they went and bought average. Like back then, Oscar was a good player, but not as good as Cristiano Ronaldo, right? So they went
Yeah,
and bought Cristiano Ronaldo. So that was the first step for it to be successful, buying Cristiano Ronaldo and as for buying him. And it also is, I think they have an incentive to play. Now, I know for a fact that on FIFA football done by Athletic, they put out a report saying that China wanted to become a world superpower in football by 2050, and they also wanted to send in their team for another World Cup. I think they did play the 2002 World Cup, but they wanted to send their team for another World Cup. That was their incentive. But with Saudi, the incentive is to host the 2030 FIFA Football World Cup. Now, I was in Qatar, and talk that was going on was that Qatar and Saudi are rivals, regional rivals. Qatar is
yeah,
very small compared to Saudi. Even the economic,
right.
same thing. And Saudi, we must not forget, and also this will come into the discussion later. It's also a very holy place for
Yeah,
Islam followers, right? That's one of the reasons why even Benzema, even Martin went to Saudi because of that factor. But Qatar got this opportunity to host the World Cup, and they went and did a spectacular job on it.
yes,
That made Saudi a bit jealous. They wanted the spotlight as well. You will see a lot of other nations coming into the frame in the next year, in the next decade. But for now, the spotlight was on Qatar, but now is on Saudi. So Saudi got jealous. And what they did was they're trying to revolutionize football by bringing football properly into the Asian subcontinent, sorry, the Asian continent, and also to the Middle East. Something that Qatar did last year, but not to this level. So I feel like it's here to stay. Uh, it just thing is it going to be something like where it gets ballooned up and then it suddenly bursts? That is on the PIF, the Public Investment Fund of Saudis, and also Prince bin Salman. So that's my answer to it. What about you?
You want to go first? You want to go next, or you want me to skip?
I can go next. So I think um, I agree. I largely agree with almost everything you say because I think they've done a much better job than China in terms of getting like really popular players, and also I think there's a which I'll add to that, which is the fact that they've really.
Mm.
I think we were speaking about it like a few days ago, but the real reason that we know a lot about now Messi and Inter Miami is because not because we watch Inter Miami matches. I think Abhishek, being a huge Messi fan itself, he's not going to watch Inter Miami matches.
I
But
thought you
no, I'm just
I thought
saying.
this was the
But
exception to Abhishek, but
but everyone, all of us see these clips, right, of Messi scoring these really, really nice goals and of him celebrating, and so Inter Miami is really milking the social media aspect of having Messi, and Al Nasser and Al Hilal and the Saudi clubs are doing this as well. And if Al Nassr, especially Al Nassr, I think after Ronaldo joining now has like around 13.5 million Instagram followers. To put that into context, Newcastle United has only 2 million, right? Spurs, I believe, have 15 million. Spurs being a club, that's been in the Premier League for a long time and quite a popular club. So uh, just just from popularity over like the last year, this club has now like 13 million Instagram followers, and they have I think a similar amount on TikTok as well. and them posting these like let's be honest, at the moment none of us are really going to watch, like maybe some people do, but none of us are really going to watch full like Al Nassr matches, right? But all of us see these clips of Ronaldo scoring and Ronaldo celebrating and winning trophies, and like them like milking that social media aspect of it. Really, one thing, it boosts the club and it boosts like the popularity of the entire league as well, which is something China didn't do. Like after Oscar went to China, I don't think I've seen Oscar since. So I think that's really a big part of it, and I think uh, like like you said, they obviously they want to rival Qatar, and I think this whole thing is part of like a much larger, I would say, much larger plan of which is not really centered around football alone, because they're trying to bring in like other sports. They're trying to host other sports in Saudi as well, like the Fury and Ngannou match, which is supposed to happen, I believe, in October,
MMA.
October or November. Yeah, what?
It's an
No,
MMA
it's
match.
boxing, boxing.
It's a boxing match. So, yeah, so the Fury and Ngannou, it's a crossover boxing match. It'll be one of the biggest boxing matches of this year. So, that's supposed to be hosted. Sorry.
No, never mind. Just continue.
I keep hearing you guys breaking up. So, but yeah, so that's supposed to be hosted in Saudi as well. So, I think one thing we'll see over the next few years, I'm certain of it, is that a lot of like events, especially like combat sports events, will start being held in Saudi, like these influencer boxing events, and even like large MMA events. I'm sure will go to Saudi, and football, which is the most popular sport in the world, obviously, and that's becoming popular in Saudi as well. I think it's here to stay. I think whether it enters like the top five leagues will really depend on how consistent, like if they are going to put this consistent effort over like the next 5 years. I think there is no reason why it can't, because what obviously now they have like four clubs which are able to buy these players, but if all the clubs come to that level, and if they're paying like, and obviously there's one part of this which we haven't spoken about, which I think Kavik, especially you alluded to when we were speaking about it earlier, which is the money aspect of it, and why, like what the players' motivations really are. Is it trophies, or is it just securing the bag for your family? So I think all things considered, I would, if I was betting on it, I would say this will become a really popular part of football that we're just gonna have to accept over like the next few years.
Yeah.
Abhishek, what do you think?
My take. I try and keep it fun. No,
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to what you said about the trophy or the money bag. I think as to whether this league, whether it will enter the top five leagues, it's going to be very tough for the simple reason that with Europe, football is a cultural.
Yeah.
The culture of football in Europe is massive. South America,
True.
but Europe is like the hub of football, most probably. It's kind of like with motorsport as well, or motorsport.
Yeah.
If you want to go there. It's the same with football. And there is history with the European clubs. Okay? And they have massive fan bases all around the world. I mean, we are examples. We have nothing to do with Liverpool, Barcelona, and Arsenal. Like, we have nothing to do with those clubs. But we stay up all night. We're just one of so many fans around the world who stay up, late night or get up in the morning just to watch those clubs. Because there's historic to this, which is not the case with the Saudi clubs, because I don't know, they have
They do.
big history.
They do. It's just
Not as popular for
limited
sure.
with Saudi.
Not as popular for sure. And no, you can't say that those clubs are anywhere near the clubs of Europe in terms of popularity. I mean, in terms of fan base, we've seen, like, for example, like Shavin said with the Inter Miami case, with Messi coming in, they actually got more followers than Inter Milan, which is the case. They've used the marketing aspect well.
Yeah.
But there is that aspect of history of the legacy of the club. There are aspiring football players who've wanted to play for certain clubs since their small days and win trophies. And you see that mainly with the European clubs. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be very tough for these clubs in the Saudi League to come to that level, at least for the foreseeable future, for the next 10 years, 20 years. Maybe if they drag more players in, more star players in, it still will take a long time. But maybe in like probably 40 years they could achieve something, but still, because
It takes time.
it
It's
take
a
it'll take
long game.
it's the long game, and if they're willing to be there for the long haul, maybe you might see some kind of breakthrough. But it's just a historic aspect of all these clubs, which will have the edge and which will probably attract young aspiring players to play for Europe. And that's that question again, trophy or securing the money back. Because there's another aspect, and sometimes people criticize football players who do this, but I don't think it's fair. That sometimes they go for the money. What you got to realize is they are doing what they love, but they're also at the same time providing for their families. And unlike in other professions, like any other profession, on anything, with sport, it's a very limited amount of time that you're on. Let's say a football player, or if you're lucky, you'll be on top for about 15 years on average. If you're lucky, otherwise it's around. And in those 10 years, where you're going to do the bulk of your earning, you've got to provide for the rest of for the rest of your family's life. You know, as high of a salary with other things, probably punditry or stuff like that. You never know. So I think it's not right when people start for trying to save, earn money or something, because they've got to think about their families. Um, but then there's also the aspect of winning the Champions League, of winning the Premier League title, for a club that has not challenged for the Premier League title for a long time. Those aspects, it's about the legacy you want to leave behind. I think in that aspect, the top five leagues will always have, or most European leagues have that, because of the history of the clubs, because of things like relegation where they've gone down, first point, and they've come back. It's the passion that's drawn by these clubs in Europe. You've seen like clubs like Wrexham, with the whole Randall's from McElhenney takeover.
Yeah.
Just the amount of passion that is brought back to that small town in Wales. So that's where I feel like, for sure the top five leagues, or any league in Europe for that matter, it will take some time for Saudi league rather, to get to that level. And that's where they will have it.
Yeah. Talking about
Also, yeah.
Perfect.
you were saying.
No, I just wanted to add to that. I just think that it also really depends on what stage you're in your career. Like, I think it's very unlikely that someone like Erling Haaland would go to a Saudi club when he's like, I wouldn't say he's even in his prime, but he's performing at a really high level at a really good club, and he has the opportunity to win like everything. He won the treble, right? But you contrast that with someone like Henderson, who I'm not shitting on Henderson. I'm just saying the
Right,
stage Henderson is at he is in his career. He's won everything he has to win with with Liverpool. He's not like a top level player. He's not like a world class. I mean, he's a world class player, but he's not one of the best players in Liverpool even. But now he's earning more than any player in the Premier League, right? He's earning like £700,000 per week, and he's the highest paid English player like in the world right now. So like it completely makes sense for him like to go for a few years and play in Saudi. So yeah, I think for players like that, this will definitely be like the destination I feel.